get ready for some upbeat banter, plenty of laughs, and a whole lot of love for the game and our team. This is Buds and Blue Jays. And now your hosts, Riley McConnell and Jesse Burrell.
Oh, good evening, everybody. It is Sunday, it is Thursday, off to a great start already, the 25th of July. And welcome to episode 197 of Buds and Blue Jays, your place for all things related to the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm Jesse Burrell, and there's three of us here in the group today, joined by my usual co-host, Riley McConnell, and joined by our returning friend and number one bud, Jesse Terreso. Gentlemen, a lot to get to on the show today. We're going to go through our trade deadline predictions, not only what we think the Toronto Blue Jays should do, or what we would do if we were GM of the Toronto Blue Jays, and we're going to try to cover every single aspect for this Blue Jays as we get close to the trade deadline. Plus, we'll touch on the Rays series and so much more, Kevin Kiermaiers' retirement and all that stuff. But first, gentlemen, good evening. How are we tonight?
Oh, we could be a lot better. I mean, anytime you throw a position player out on the mound, you're probably not in a good way. And spoiler alert, we lost the finale of this series 13-0. I was fortunate enough not to watch it. I was umpiring in Wellington, and I only caught the highlights, or I should say the lowlights, because dude, nothing good has come in the second half yet, and it's not going to get any better for the Blue Jays. As I predicted, I said this. I said it's not going to get better. And look at us. I mean, we're well on our way, guys.
And Teresa, how are you?
Well, as like the Paul Rudd sketch, look at us now. Sucking Groundhog Day. Just one bad day after another for these Jays. And today we just got the baker's dozen put on us.
Yeah, tonight's afternoon game was not a good one, but you know what, guys? I've already moved past today's game. This year's Blue Jays team is going to look a lot different in about 5 days from now than it does right now, as we may see upwards of 6, 7, 8 players traded off this roster, bringing new faces in and watching some old guys go out. So, gentlemen, today I think we could take the time here and we could go, all three of us, station to station, and do what would you do this trade deadline if you were general manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. And Riley, the crowd wants to hear your opinion first. So take it away. Mark Shapiro has just given you access to general manager, and you have 2 minutes to describe what you would do for this team in this trade deadline. Go ahead, my man.
All right. First thing, I'll be like Wile E. Coyote. I'm calling Acme, and I'm getting all the dynamite that they got, because I'm blowing this thing to damn smithereens, guys. Like, what we have witnessed this year is what you would call a catastrophic failure. I mean, the expectations going in was here, performance level, and my hand's going off screen because it's that low. It feels that low. Whenever you're 10 games below 500, it's not a good thing to start. The pieces we brought into this franchise are no good. Okay, then you go like this. Who do we... And the whole thing was, we're getting rid of guys in expiring contracts. If it's me, let's start with the starting pitchers. Kikuchi's got to go first and foremost, because he is on expiring deal. I'm even going to see what kind of feelers I can get for either one of, not both, but a Kevin Gausman and a Chris Bassett.
Okay.
And then you go into the bullpen, and honestly, anyone can pitch out of the bullpen in this Blue Jays organization. I don't care. Let's get good young guys for Jimmy Garcia. Get Richards out of here. I mean, let's take a bag of all-dressed chips for him. And at the same time, too, you look, and I think Chad Green might be a tasty piece that we could get back. Unfortunately, we're only going to roll with one catcher of the future. I think I'm going to put bias aside, try and be smart. We're going to get rid of Jansen, send him to the team that needs a catcher, and that will give us a heavy return. Because I think the relief pitchers, we're not going to get a big return for. Vladdy's got to stay. We got to try to do something about him. We move around the infield. I would personally keep IKF around just to have someone that can hit in the lineup. He has hit well this year. Same with Ernie Clement. He's got to stay too. If I was in charge a while ago, Justin Turner would be already gone. That's a different story. Unfortunately, Bo Bichette kind of leaves my hands tied. He's got to stick around as far as outfield goes. I'm kindly going to say to Kiermaier, do you want to go win a championship somewhere? And then behind closed doors say, I don't want this bum on my team. Like, happy retirement, but get him out of here. Varsho can for sure play center field for me. And George Springer, you can't deal George Springer. And that brings us around the baseball diamond. And so
wow.
I mean, there's 8 or 9 guys that I'm trying to flip for sure. I would blow this whole thing up. I can't change the record, but I can change the roster.
Riley, what you described there for what to do with the Toronto Blue Jays team makes a lot of sense. I feel like that would be the smart thing for the Toronto Blue Jays to do if they are truly adamant on competing in the next season, which might be a mistake, but that's everything they've been telling us. So, Riley, I love that plan. If you were a GM, fantastic. Jesse, you've been preparing notes for this. You've been accessed the general manager's seat. Let's hear what you've got for your plan to do with the Toronto Blue Jays this trade deadline.
Pretty much, Riley. So first off, the first thing I do, fire John Schneider.
Okay.
And replace him with Casey Kendall as the intern.
Okay.
So bring up another Buffalo guy to run the team because they're the only ones that can play.
Okay.
Then I extend Vladdy.
Okay. I like that.
10 years,
what's your contract?
10 years, 320.
Okay, 32 a year. Okay, I like that.
It's more than what like Olsen and Harper and all that got, but like now with the market, it's probably going to be around that price. Then the first trade of trade deadline would be Bo Bichette, Addison Barger, Leo Jimenez to the Seattle Mariners.
Okay, so we're trading some young guys in this too, eh? Yeah.
Harry Ford.
Okay.
Ty Pete. And we will take the contract of Ty France.
Okay. Didn't they just DFA him? So he'd be very cheap. But yeah, okay.
So it all will play out for what I'm doing.
Okay. What else you got?
The next trade, Danny Jansen, Yimi Garcia to the Cubs.
Okay.
For Pete Crow Armstrong and Christian Morale.
Okay.
Or Owen Casey, depending on like who they want to give up.
Sure.
Then I will trade Justin Turner back to Boston.
Okay. For
the 19th ranked prospect in the Red Sox organization, Blaze Jordan.
Power bat or speed guy? I know the name.
Huge, dude. He hit like 500 home runs when he was like 14 years old.
Great. Sign me up. I'm in.
Yeah.
Then I will send KK back to Tampa for a player to be named later, just like he retired with the Rays.
Sure.
Chad Green to the Yankees for the 10th ranked left-handed pitcher, Brock Selvage.
Okay.
And second and third rate, Jorbit Vera or Vivas.
Jorbit Vivas.
Yes,
look at that. Espanole over here.
See. Then IKF to the Dodgers for Justin Wolbeski, the 14th ranked pitching prospect, another lefty. Kikuchi to Minnesota for Marco Rea and Brandon Winokur.
Sure, yeah.
Then another big trade, Gosman back to the Orioles for McDermott, Seth Johnson, and Creed Williams.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So in this scenario, you are keeping Vladimir Guerrero Jr. staying around, Chris Bassett still staying around, and Trevor Richards, I guess, still sticking around post-deadline?
Well, for a lot of the bullpen guys, we wouldn't get much for, but these were the ones I know we could get returns for, or like Bassett and other ones on the new contract could be in the offseason we could trade.
Wow, so that is a very big shakeup if that were to come true for the Toronto Blue Jays. A lot of pieces in and coming out. It would be a very different Toronto Blue Jays team. I like the boldness, and I like giving specific names, because if one of those does come true, that would be, man, one hell of a prediction. Riley, quick thought on his before I give you mine?
Yeah, no, I kept it pretty general. That's, I mean, like, you never know where guys are going to go. Hell, if Chris Morale and Pete Crow Armstrong came here for literally any player off our roster that isn't named Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I would be stoked. That's a heavy return. Both are MLB players that are very young, lots of control, very little service time, have heavy upside. When a lot of our prospects, like Horowitz, is playing above his upside right now. I think there's more upside for a guy like Barger, but it's all, I mean, it's Jesse. That's your thing. Dreaming on prospects, right? I mean, we got a guy, Davis Schneider, around 20, whatever. That's, he hasn't played good this year, but over his, career, for where he was selected, he's having a fairly decent start to his career. And it's same with a lot of the other guys, Spencer Horowitz as well. So it's funny that I think it's great that you name specific players, Teresa, because I didn't have anybody else in mind. I like young guys, stack the farm. We're so damn depleted. I guess I could have added to mine. Like the return I would like is, a young pitcher that's not like super young and maybe a little bit more developed. So we know he's maybe got a better shot than a 19-year-old who just came off Tommy John or whatever, because we are bleeding for pitchers, man.
Oh, exactly. And like with all the prospects I picked, there is the latest I have is maybe like 2 of them that are 2027, but the rest are like very soon to be ETAs that they're putting.
Which is the type of prospect too I believe the Blue Jays are going to target in this free agency, especially if they have dreams of competing in 2025, which is probably a mistake. But that's what they've been saying.
Shatter those dreams.
Exactly. All right. So here's what I would do if you put me in the GM chair for the thing, for like tomorrow for this trade deadline. First things first, Jesse, I agree with you. Give Vladimir Guerrero Jr. that extension. I've seen enough. We've always said since this era has come up, the worst thing we can have is to have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. playing in a Boston Red Sox uniform in 2026. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. I am also giving a contract extension to Danny Jansen. I think even though the offensive struggles have been dreadful for about a month now, I think he's earned his spot on this roster. And from what he already knows the pitching staff, he already knows Toronto. You don't have to teach him all those things, right? And plus, I'm confident that bat will turn around. And if you let Danny Jansen walk, you're just going to have to try to find a new Danny Jansen. Not worth it for me. In terms of everyone else, I want to take a big picture look at the Toronto Blue Jays team and think, when are you going to be better than the Yankees? When are you going to be better than the Orioles? If that answer is not any time within the next 2 or 3 years, you need to do what Riley said, get the dynamite and kick out every single person in here that is making money and it is going. I'm talking about if they want to give you a fly on a wall or a case of beer for Justin Turner, do it.
Give me a case of beer for Turner.
Love that.
Sign me up for that.
Send them to Busch Stadium in St. Louis, and send some Anheuser-Busch back here. We are Buds and Blue Jays after all. Let's get some Buds up here. Kevin Kiermaiers already gone through waivers once, right? Is anyone really going to take anyone for them? I don't really think so, right? But just literally trade anybody with a pulse that you can get literally any lottery ticket type of prospect back, because this team needs upside more than anything. And then post-trade deadline, you let every single Buffalo player play. All of them. Give Leo Jimenez full-time playing time for all I care. Like, get these guys in here, and you need to see who can be part of your next core Toronto Blue Jays team and use the end of this season to do so. And so that is what I would do if I were GM of the Toronto Blue Jays this trade deadline.
Yep, that makes perfect sense to me, man.
As I like to say, let the kids play after this deadline.
Yeah, it's turn it over to the Buffalo boys, Tree. So I've been on board since you said that, man. The way that the ship is being steered, like it's time for some young guys. There was a poll out that before the start of this year, or like partway through the start of this year, that Toronto hoarded prospects. Well, not anymore. Let's bring those guys up and let them play. I don't care if we're suffering. Let's get those guys some big league cups of coffee for everyone. In fact, let's bring that part of that whole roster up into Toronto.
Give them a double.
Yeah, well, there's no Tim Hortons at the Rogers Center anymore, so let's bring up our own cups of coffee here, if we can do that. Boys, I just want to give you a simple name. I will say the name, and you boys tell me if they will be traded this trade deadline. Got it?
Deal.
We'll start big. Are the Toronto Blue Jays trading Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this deadline?
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope not, and no. They will not trade Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at the deadline.
Jesse?
No, unless someone pays like Elvis World, like giving us say a Marcel Noble from the Red Sox, then like a prospect like that level.
What if Seattle goes? We'll give you Julio Rodriguez.
Bye.
One for one, yeah. No. 1 for 1, no.
Interesting. Okay. I don't think they're going to do it either. But also, I didn't think the Nationals were going to trade Juan Soto. So just do with that what you will. Next player, Bo Bichette. He's hurt right now, which does make things interesting and weird. I know you can trade hurt players, but it doesn't happen too often. But is he going to be traded this deadline?
Again, I'm saying no, that Bo Bichette will not be traded. I think that this is a thing to protect Ross's job. Let's try and protect. There's no accountability here. He's already said he's not trading player. He's not going to trade players on, with an extra year on their contract, whatever. I think I think you lose your job if you trade Vladdy and Bo. Like, I think it's a protection thing. I think you can get the juiciest trade in the world for Bo Bichette. But if there's risk in it, I think that it's the wrong move, and I think that Ross is just trying to protect his job. I think Vladdy and Bo are untouchable. Do I agree with that? Not necessarily, but I just can't see it happening.
I'm with you, Riley. I agree. Jesse, are we moving Bo this deadline?
No, but they should.
Okay. I think the Blue Jays are either going to wait till the offseason or wait till he rebuilds value at next year's trade deadline, which might be a mistake, but we will see. All right, this next guy, guy with a big contract who's had a really roller coaster of a season, George Springer. He's still a Blue Jay August 1st?
Yeah, well, who the hell is going to take on that contract and risk? No GM in baseball is going to look at the last 2 weeks that George Springer has had and go, "Oh my goodness, look at this player!"
Back, right?
Like I've only been born for 2 weeks. This is the best baseball player in the world. No, it doesn't work like that, man. He's had an abysmal season. You look at his splits over his career. This is by far his worst year. Yeah, he's been hot, but it has done nothing to increase his value. Also, you look at the dollar amount and term attached to that deal. Yeah, I would love to trade George Springer for another paper thing here to free up $23 million in cap space. But essentially, like, it ain't happening. No one's going to take that on.
Jesse?
Not a chance. That contract is the immovable force.
Real stinker of a contract. Like
we knew it would be when he signed it, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, the front part of that deal, sure, but we kind of knew, guys, that this might happen. A little premature, in my opinion, but we also saw the decline coming. We just didn't realize how sharp it was going to be, and it's been quite sharp, minus the 2 weeks George has had.
These next few guys, and just give me a quick yes or no on these names here: Justin Turner, Kevin Kiermaier, Danny Jansen, or Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Those 4 names. Are they still going to be Blue Jays, or are they going to be traded?
I think Jano's getting dealt. I mean, he's the least guy that I would want gone. And I think there's a good chance IKF, if we get anything for Turner. I think we could try and flip Turner. It won't be anything. So yes to Turner. IKF, no. And Kiermaier, I don't think a team's going to take him. I think he sticks out this rest of this year in Toronto.
Okay, Jesse?
And I'm the opposite. They're all on a one-way train to Toronto.
Yeah, you just get anything you can for him, eh?
Exactly.
I'm kind of on, I think Jansen stays. I think Kevin Kiermaier stays for the exact same reason you just said, Riley. But I think Justin Turner's as good as gone. And IKF intrigues me. If a team is willing to pay based on what he did with the bat in the first half, I think we could get something for him too. Starting pitchers, because we got to move with pace here. Kikuchi's good as gone. I think we all agree, correct?
He's out.
Yep.
Right. So the other 3 then, Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, and Chris Bassett. Are any of them traded in the next 5 days?
The Bassett might be the number 1 on that board. Bria's not going anywhere, and I don't think there's going to be a heavy enough return for Gausman that would be smart for us to do it.
Jesse?
I totally agree with Riley on that one. Bassett's most likely, but I could see Gausman if it's like a king's ransom.
Yeah, so I do agree with your reasoning, Riley. I think that's what the Blue Jays are going to do based on those reasons you just said. However, if you think Jose Barrios is cooked and is never coming back, or if you think Kevin Gausman is never going to be that guy again, then you should trade him while another team thinks it could be. But I agree, Riley, it's going to be likely that way you said. And then the guys in the bullpen. Jimmy Garcia is good as gone. I think we can all agree on that, correct?
Out of here. Best relief pitcher this year, gone.
Mm-hmm. So then how about some other names? Chad Green, Nate Pearson, Trevor Richards, any of those guys gone or still
gone, stays gone. Pearson's the guy that stays out of that group, I believe.
Only one that stays is Pearson.
Yeah.
Okay.
All on board with that. Richards is gone. Low return. Chad Green, you might get something for. Nate Pearson, though. Again, we're probably going to keep him. And then maybe next year, if this goes downhill, then we flip him at the deadline. Who the hell knows by that point?
Yeah, I could see the Toronto Blue Jays being stubborn and holding on to Chad Green, but I think that would be a big mistake. If the Yankees want him back and they're willing to pay for it, you absolutely move him now.
Yeah.
But
anyway, to beat the Yankees, but that isn't the regular season.
Sure. And you never know. Go get a ring, I guess. So I guess not with the Yankees. Go somewhere else and get a ring, Chad Green. All that good stuff.
Padres.
Sure. Is there anybody else on this 26-man roster? So any of the Buffalo boys? We're not trading Yariel Rodriguez, Alejandro Kirk, for example. Like, is there anybody else on this roster you can see traded within the next 5 days?
Oh, right off the hop, I'm going through and honestly,
like
no.
Varsho not going anywhere.
No, unless I think a package deal could be in place that tries to up the prospect return by trading away maybe like Teresa, you said a Barger. I could see that possibly in one of those expiring contracts. Like if you attach him to a Chad Green, the return could be more, or you get multiple lower end prospects, but there's no one else. We don't have any value on the board up to this point. We've gone through our guys, Jesse. Like at this point, we're just kind of now attaching players to deals to get a sweeter return. And I mean, is it really smart to get rid of a guy with a lot of team control, like Aderny Clement, like an Addison Barger? If Horowitz is, I mean, I'll cheer for the Detroit Tigers if they trade freaking Spencer Horowitz. Like that would be just ludicrous. But yeah, I think we've named the big guys. If we get rid of one of the younger guys that has the control, it's just to sweeten the deal.
Does anybody want to take a stab? I know, Jesse, you've already given a few names you think that the Blue Jays might acquire. Is there one name of a guy who's currently not in our organization that you think might be a Blue Jay come August? Impossible exercise, I know, but let's just throw darts at a dartboard.
Oh, man. Teresa, take this one because I need a second to cook.
There's one I was trying to think of a package that I would love the Jays to do, maybe with Bo Bichette, and it'd be going to Cleveland for Bo Naylor.
Okay, little Canadian guy in there.
I mean, they're contenders, so I mean,
but they have 3 catchers.
You can't split up 2 brothers like that.
We'll take Josh Naylor too, then.
I would love that. I would love that. I would love that.
Or we'll take Bo's other brother in from Oakland.
Sure, take him.
Yeah. Big returns out in Oakland, I'm sure. Although their closer isn't going anywhere apparently.
Well, he's also saying tables and breaking his finger, but that's a different podcast for you.
Yeah.
Speaking of Oakland, my player that I think that might just randomly end up as a Toronto Blue Jay will be involved in some 3-team trade. I think JJ Bleday out of Oakland finds his way here. Don't really know why. The Blue Jays love outfield defense, right? He had a home run off Chad Green earlier in this year when we were out in Oakland. That is my sneaky pick. JJ Bleday ends up a Blue Jay.
You know what? Let's throw it back over to Chris. Let's see. Like I'll say, like let's see what we can get out of our. Let's look down there. AA. I mean, Harry Ford would be a cool one to get, but at the end of the day, pitching is what we need. I'm gonna look. I can't even pronounce that last name. Oh my God. Jurangelo. Where's this guy?
He's new. He was just drafted. Yeah.
He's the Amy Dexter's pitcher that was drafted 15th.
Okay, we won't trade for the amphibian, but give me Ryan Sloan. Let's see what we can get for a pitcher like Ryan Sloan. Let's get a guy with upside. I don't know. Because we had him on here and he humored us with the way we've been playing baseball. And Seattle's, they got a pretty good team out west. So, if we did give them, we at least, they got so many good starting pitchers, at least give us like a young guy, like give us Emerson Hancock or something. Like, I mean, we'll take pitchers. We need pitchers.
I'll take Brian Wu.
Sure. It's it doesn't matter who it's going to be. All I know is that we are going to be here to react to it if and when. Check out our socials. We'll be there. Come back here for the live episode when it happens. Either way, the 3 of us and maybe even a guest or 2 are going to come down to react at it. Guys, before we talk about this depressing series against the Tampa Bay Rays, any final trade deadline thoughts around this Toronto Blue Jays team?
Yeah, it's going to be a painful day. You're going to it might not be your favorite Jay that goes, but just know, when there are trades, it's going to suck because our team is going to get worse.
Yes.
Supposedly, this is going to help us with the future of the Toronto Blue Jays. And if you're stubborn and impatient like me, it's going to suck for the rest of the year, and it's probably going to suck into next year too. But just try and hope for the best, hope for the future, because it's not fun to be a Blue Jays fan right now. And we've seen how we do with our pitching prospects. That's where I'm at right now. And it's so hard to get a good developed pitcher. The asking price is astronomical, in fact.
Jesse?
It's going to be like, the deadline's going to be like a romantic movie. You'll have your popcorn, your tissues. You'll start enjoying, like, getting the popcorn excitement. Then you'll grab the tissues because you're just going to be depressed and, like, sad and just the worst. We're at least we're at the bottom now, so the only way we can go up, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah, so sounds like a rough Friday night for some of us here. Tissues and a bag of popcorn, all that stuff. But either way, we will be back to talk trade deadline stuff as it happens. Let's talk a little bit about these series against the Rays, and we don't need to spend too much time on it. They lost 2 out of 3. They got blown out, as mentioned, in the finale here. The first game was close, but they lost that too, and then they snuck out a 6-3 win in game 2. Do you guys have a player of the series or a notable player you want to talk about, or storyline or something?
Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I guess, is
he's good.
The only good position player to take away from all of this, guys, and it sucks. Like I mentioned, our first back-to-back home run of the year with Justin Turner, who that means nothing to me. It's great to see Vladdy do that, though. I mean, what is he? 5 home runs in his last 6 ball games, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Those are great numbers to start the second half. Very hopeful, and I'm very optimistic that he will continue that. Maybe not go at that same pace because he'll end up finishing with like 70 home runs if he goes at that pace. But stay tuned for a very good and powerful second half of this year for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's my pick for the series anyways, because he was one of the only bats, and also 2 hits in the 13-0 loss. One of them was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So I guess he did his part. No, didn't do his part. No one did their part in that performance. But at least Vladdy has had a good 6 games to start the second half.
Hey, we wanted to see the power. He's showing the power. Good stuff. 140 WSC plus on the season. That'll play. Jesse, do you have a player of the series, storyline of the series, something that caught your attention in this series?
Like Vladdy is looking like what he was in 2021. It's just I'm more laughing about it now. Is whenever he's good, the Jays don't make the playoffs. But when he doesn't do anything and we're complaining about him, we make the playoffs. So why can't we have it the other way around?
Because we're cursed, Jesse. That's why this Toronto Blue Jays team is cursed. But that's a story for another day. My player of the series, Daulton Varsho, made more exceptional catches at the wall. Like, it's getting to the point where even Kevin Kiermaier in centers, he's not even celebrating anymore. It's just like a thumbs up. You're like, yep, nice job. Good catch, Daulton Varsho. Routine can of corn out there. Absolutely in awe from the performance that Daulton Varsho has put together. And I wanted to throw some love to Yariel Rodriguez, too. Put together another good start. He's going to be one of the big, important Blue Jays to watch. He threw a no-hitter into the 5th. And I want to make a bold prediction, I guess, 28 minutes into this podcast. The next Blue Jay to throw a no-hitter in franchise history is going to be Yariel Rodriguez. Whether it's this season, next season, or maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, I think if someone could have it in there to go quick, efficient, and get outs, my pick is Yariel Rodriguez.
And I'm going to go total opposite. The next Blue Jay to throw a no-hitter is not on this current roster. Heck, they might not even have been drafted yet.
Probably a smart choice.
And I'll give you one that just random player that I'll say because I've wanted him to dominate. Irv Carter.
Sure.
Nice. Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, and and talk about no hitters, and then the Padres go out there and throw a no hitter, which good for them, I suppose. But where's that one? Ever for us.
Mm-hmm. All right. In regards to the series, the other good players, I guess, Spencer Horwitz had a couple doubles. He got kind of cold for a little bit there. He slowly heated back up. But that was really it. Even Justin Turner, who had back-to-back 3-hit games in game 1 and game 2, had like 3 strikeouts in the finale here. And he's had 1 extra base hit in July. The rest have all been singles for Justin Turner. And then the bad in this series, look, Jose Barrios got lit up again Like, he's been disastrous over his last few starts. Chris Bassett even got thrown around a little bit. In the bullpen, like Trevor Richards was bad again. So there isn't a lot of highlights in there. Even they were stealing bases like crazy off of him. I guess you can be like, hey, George Springer stole another base. He's a perfect 10 for 10, but we're really grasping for positives here in this series.
Jose Barrios was downright terrible. Remember when I said, oh, he'll get better? Like, that was, had he gone out there in his start in game one and gone 6 innings of 2-run ball, this wouldn't even be a topic of conversation. But now we're totally on the other side. Like, Jose Barrios is dealing with something, his delivery, whatever it is. He is struggling. 6 walks allowed. Like,
a career high.
Is
Jose Barrios too.
Inexcusable amount, and not missing competitively. Just not. I mean, you can't. Again, I've said this before. Like, when you need to throw a strike, you got to throw a strike. Like, you let the defense play. And he just didn't. He just did not get the job done that way. And that was a game where he only gave up 3 earned runs. It could have been a lot worse, guys. In game one, he got lucky.
Do you remember that 2022 season that Jose Barrios had where he gave up the most earned runs in the American League? He was terrible that season. Yep. Well, if you just look at the stats page, so far this year, he's striking out less batters, walking more, giving up more home runs, but he's also stranding more runners and has a lower BABIP. So he is getting luckier than he did in that 2022 season and still is putting up worse numbers. This is bad for Jose Barrios, and I don't know how you come out of it.
Well, our longest future tenured Blue Jay probably needs to figure this out because he started the year so good, and I was right on the Jose Barrios train. I was like, I told you guys, nothing to worry about. There's our race, blah, blah, blah. Now it's the second half, and I'm kind of backing up a little bit like, yeah, I might have said that, but yeah, there's some cause for concern, guys. I mean, it wasn't a good start. You could see it clear as day out there that he just could not find the zone. And when he did find the zone, I mean, there were hard hit baseballs against him.
His stuff plus has gotten worse every single year of his career. So.
It was a very poor outing.
Either way. And then, unless you had something to add on him, Jesse, I just wanted to say Leo Jimenez, after we talked 2 episodes ago about, hey, he looks like he's a major league ball player. It looks like he could stick around. 1 for 17 with 12 strikeouts is Leo Jimenez. So maybe not quite a big ball player.
He's just drinking the Bo Bichette Kool-Aid right now.
It's like, are we cursed at the shortstop position ever since like Tulowitzki left? We can't find a good shortstop. Or?
Oh yeah, because Tulowitzki was excellent for us.
We had some good runs, but yeah,
he had some good moments.
To Jason Chris at shortstop since Royce Clayton left.
Scott, and our problems started long before the Alex Gonzalez's and Chris Woodwards of the world, guys. We just need to figure out a lot more problems than who's on short.
Mm-hmm. And that'll be a topic we can dive into in the offseason or maybe even the post-trade deadline if there is a short step piece moved in here. Guys, I had 2 more bits of information I wanted to bring up here. The first one, did you guys see Jimmy Garcia's light show that he came in this series when he came in to protect, I think it was a 4-run lead? They gave him the Jordan Romano-esque performance where they dimmed the lights at Rogers Center, but instead of red, it was blue. And they kept Jimmy Garcia's normal walkout song, which kind of weird vibes going through here. The thing that caught my attention the most with this is that they must have planned this the whole time he was on the IL, right? And purposely were waiting for him to come in here to get a spot to use this dimming of the lights and then watch us trade him in like 2 days. So this would be the only time in team history we can use the Jimmy Garcia walkout music. Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
You were there. There.
Yeah. It was cool to see. Took me by surprise. I'll tell you that. But yeah.
Wow. I was literally thinking, I'm like, that's a waste of time because he's not going to be with us in a week.
Right. So I wonder, like, does Chad Green have one of these now because he was filling in for closer when they were both on the IL? Like, and who's it going to be after the trade deadline? Like, is Ryan Burr going to get a walkout dim the light music?
No, he might get 4 applauses in the whole ballpark.
I feel like they'll use the song "Cold as Ice" for Ryan Burr because
Burr.
Sure.
And because he's not a very hot pitcher, that too. double entendre there. Yeah, maybe, perhaps.
And speaking of hot pitchers, 2 more notes here, guys. Ernie Clement got on the mound in the finale here today. And whenever a position player is pitching, it's never good news. But he did pitch 1 inning, only gave up 1 earned run. In fact, 1 earned run ties Nate Pearson as the fewest earned runs given up by a pitcher in that game. He threw a knuckleball, threw a decent curveballs. It's his 4th time he's pitched in his career, 2nd time as a Blue Jay. Do we like position players pitching? Did we think this was fun? How did you feel about this?
Oh, no. Big X flag on the play. I think it's stupid. I get it. It's smart because you're saving your bullpen.
The only way I'll allow it is if we're in the 20th inning or something like that.
Right. Which won't happen with the zombie
I one day will try and change the rule so you can actually reuse pitchers that have been taken out of ball games if it passes the 2nd game, which would be after 18 innings, which at that point, like, you might as well just call it a draw. There might be 35 people left in the stands, and you've already gone through 3 boxes of pizza and about 20 Gatorades. You just want to go home. Like, you might just hit 4 batters in a row at 55 miles an hour and just say, okay, boys, pack it in.
Sounds good to me. And then one more piece of news that did come out of this series, and that is Kevin Kiermaier has officially announced he was going to retire at the end of the season. And in doing an interview with Hazel May, he mentioned, hey, playing on turf for 14 years, 12 in the big leagues, but being around for 14 seasons does have a tear on his body. And ultimately, he just knows when it is time. So happy retirement to Kevin Kiermaier. I hope we do trade him. He gets out to a playoff contender somewhere, can win a World Series ring, because we wish nothing but for the best for him. But yeah, hell of a career for Kevin Kiermaier. I wish he had made this announcement before the All-Star game, because he is probably one of the best players to never make an All-Star game. And if he did this before, they could have used that special commissioner's invite to get Kiermaier to an All-Star game, but maybe he didn't want that. So happy retirement, Kevin Kiermaier. One of the best to ever do it.
The best player, Jesse plural, I'll say. Can you guys tell me, because it's not Kiermaier. Kiermaier is one of the best defenders to never go to the All-Star game. Who's the best position player to never go to an All-Star game? And I will tell you, it is longtime California Angels outfielder Tim Salmon. Oddly enough, 299 career home runs, never made the All-Star game once, which is crazy. And he played his whole career for one team. There's an immaculate grid name for you. Only played for one team, Tim Salmon. Great outfielder, never one All-Star appearance.
Eric Chavez is another name for guys who's never made an All-Star game.
Mind-blowing.
Travis Hafner is another one, and Kirk Gibson never made an All-Star game.
I mean, he had one moment. He had one moment. He had 0 limbs working, and he hit a home run off Eckersley. That is a pretty cool feat at a very clutch moment.
Yeah, Alderson Simmons is up there. I'm just scrolling through the list now, but definitely some names that should have been up there.
Simmons can go in the list where Kiermaier is, and it's very good defensively at your position. Chavi could hit. Kirk Gibson, I mean, he retired before I was born, I think. So, I mean, yeah, we'll put Kiermaier on the list of elite defenders to go. But he might have an OPS plus career at like 86. I don't actually have any idea what it would be. I'm just guessing. He's lucky if it is 86.
Well, good stuff. Ending with some Eric Chavez talk on a Buds and Blue Jays podcast.
Oh yeah, why wouldn't we?
Fantastic stuff. It wouldn't be our show unless we went off a weird tangent somewhere. So I'm happy we're able to do so. But that is going to do it for episode here today. A lot of trade deadline stuff. I think we covered most avenues here. A lot to discuss, a lot to think about as the Blue Jays go into what is their biggest week of the season and might be one of the biggest decision points in franchise history that this team has made, at least in a few years. Anything else to add, boys, before we get out of here, before we hopefully start breaking down some trades?
Yeah, Jesse, good job keeping this ship for us on Buds and Blue Jays here steered on the right course. Because if it were up to Teresa and I, we would have been all over the place. If we had 15 more minutes and you at the end start throwing out Travis Hafner's and Eric Chavez, I'm glad you have to work in the morning, or we'd be here for another 15 minutes talking about the good old days.
We have a whole off season for that type of stuff, boys. So get excited.
Great.
Aren't we in it with this season?
Great Richie Sexton pull on the immaculate grid, Teresa. Love that for us.
Oh, yeah.
All right, boys. That'll do it for us here. We'll be on the social medias. We'll talk to you guys then. For Jesse Teresa, for Riley McConnell, I'm Jesse Burrell. Have a good night, and let's go Blue Jays.
Thanks, guys.
Let the kids play.